Legionnaires of the Lariat, welcome back to another episode of I Still Call It a Lariat. I am here with my tag team partner, Steven Zapf. Say hello, Steven.
Hello, Steven.
And we are here to review this year's 2025 Elimination Chamber. Sorry that Hound can't be with us. It's all my fault because I kept falling asleep this week because it's just no way around it. Yeah, it really is. It's been a crazy week. But we're here. We're going to give you guys a quick review of what we thought. If you listen to the prediction show, you can tell that I am not the happiest boy in the world, but we'll figure out what that means next. Steven, what did you think about the card overall?
I thought the card to start was good. I felt like this was just predictable. I know I got most of the answers right, or most of the picks correct. I just think this ended up turning. I don't think the ending was predictable. I think that was pure shock value. But I think the majority of this card, the Owens and Zayn match, ended up becoming a bit predictable. Tiffany and Trish versus Nia and Candice was predictable from the start.
Yeah, don't worry about that one. That doesn't count. I'm not going to say that I thought it was predictable, but they did all the things I didn't want them to do. Except for the Owens one. I should have. I told you guys that when we did the predictions, I was pretty reserved on what I thought. I was kind of waffling everywhere. I almost called you guys. I almost sent that text being like, I want Bianca, I want Owens, and I want Cena. I knew Cena. Come on, let's be real. We all knew Cena. I might have kept my Drew pick as my silent protest because I really didn't want Cena to win this year. So we can dive into it. I think taking apart the predictability of it, I thought these were some pretty solid matches. So it was a pretty enjoyable card. So just because I didn't like the outcomes doesn't take away from the body of work. And I want to give credit where credit's due. This women's Elimination Chamber match was actually pretty awesome. When we kick it off with Jade Cargill taking out
just
Naomi.
Murking her.
So great. It was such a good way to kind of kick the night off and get that heat out really big. And just kind of taking her out of action is something I did not see coming. People talked about Jade coming back. It was always speculated here and there. But the idea that she was going to come in and eliminate somebody was shocking. The men's chamber was good. Arguably, this chamber match might have been better.
I think this chamber match might have been better. I think this one was definitely better. I thought, and we got to see, this is one of the first times and one of the few times since they've been doing some of these different gimmick matches that the women's gimmick stuff was good. Like I always have the complaint that the Royal Rumble, the women's Royal Rumble feels rushed. And even last year's Elimination Chamber, they seemed like they were rushing through moves. Like, hey, we have to get this stuff in. This time it seemed like they were a little bit more, I don't want to say tame because this match was not tame by any means.
No.
But this was like, they understood the pace and they kept to it.
Yeah. MVP of this match, by far, was Liv Morgan.
Absolutely.
I want to take a moment to walk down memory lane, Steven, because when they started pushing Liv Morgan back when Rhea got hurt, you and I both were not in. And I don't want to say we were wrong because we weren't wrong, but because to the moment up into it wasn't right. She didn't fit the bill. I wasn't excited about it. But man, the work that she's done with the Judgment Day, her in-ring work since the time she spent with Becky, she turned it around. Like I'm a Liv fan now, and she made this match. Yeah,
we've been saying it.
I want to give flowers where flowers are due.
Absolutely, and she's turned it around. It's to the point where I'm a big believer that her ability to sell moves too, it might be head and shoulders above everyone else in wrestling right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anyone else who sells as well as she does.
The the whole beginning of this match that she set the pace and just sitting there taunting Bianca while she was in the chamber, it was perfectly done. It was really, really well done. She had a really strong showing in this chamber match. I found myself rooting for her. Like I was like, do you know what? I can get down with Rhea Liv 3. Like I know that we had a lot of it, but okay, I'm down. And I don't know. We've seen Raw? Are we spoiling Raw at this point in time?
I don't think we're spoiling Raw at this point. We might as well just include some of the Raw stuff in this.
So we can talk about Raw.
Yeah, we can talk about Raw.
Okay, so if you haven't seen Raw, it's Wednesday night. You should stop listening because we're going to spoil Raw. I'm just giving you a heads up. And I'm going to spoil Raw. Even going into this, we knew that Rhea was going to fight Io, who won the women's title out of nowhere, which is awesome. Good job for her. I love Io as champion. I love that Rhea can't seem to beat Io. It's fantastic. But even Liv versus Io too, to get to let Io at Mania fight Liv, I can get behind that too. I'm a little uninspired by Bianca right now. She is fantastic, and don't get me wrong, absolutely fantastic. There's just been no build for this for her, and like I know that like you and I both picked Alexa for this. And there was no build for her, but the fact that she just returned and the heat that she got at Rumble, this was her. Like the comeback is her build. So like I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, but like Bianca, Naomi, and Jade should be the trio. And there just doesn't seem like for me like the leap from Bianca to either Io or Rhea. Just I'm not. I don't see it. I'm not excited for it. Like, there's just no build for it. And I think that's the problem with a lot of what happened here. And then I thought it was funny at the end of this, when Bianca wins, she wasn't so worried about Naomi. She was really worried about her at the beginning, but she wasn't so worried about
Naomi anymore. She wasn't worried about like Jade anymore.
No.
Nothing was bothering her. I'm a big believer that And I hate the fact that this is going to probably be how it goes, but I think Jade is going to screw Bianca out of the title at Mania, and that's going to be how Io retains. And Io is so good that she deserves a straight, clean win at Mania.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that Io is definitely one of those people, even like when she lost to Liv on Saturday Night Main Event, which I thought was a really strong win by Liv. That like she didn't lose much by it. Like, and I feel like particularly in the women's division, there's not very many people who can get pinned and not lose much. I feel like you fall down the card when that happens. I have to talk about it. Craziest bullwhip I've ever seen in my entire life. When they took that thing was loud. That hair is a foreign object.
That's a foreign object.
It is you've said it before. That is a foreign object. That thing whipped. Do you see the pictures of Liv?
Yeah, afterwards? I was just going to ask you if you've seen the pictures of Liv.
She looks like a freaking cheetah. Like she got her ass kicked. And
she's all beat up. Her forearms and stuff, they're all beat up. Yeah. She looks like me in Ocean City, Maryland. That's a little inside, guys.
Not one that we're getting into here either. Sorry, guys. So that's kind of the way I kind of break down this match to a certain degree. I'm still a little uninspired by the victory, but it was a fantastic match. Bianca was great in it, and I don't want to take anything away from Bianca. She is a great competitor. I love seeing her in the ring. We talked about it in the predictions. The only reason it makes sense for Bianca because Bianca versus Rhea feels like a WrestleMania match. There's just been no build towards it, and that's why we got to those final two because we discounted Roxanne Perez and Naomi and Bayley. We discounted like you and I picked Alexa. We discounted Liv because she just won the tag team title, so that made sense. And then Bianca, obviously Hound took Bianca, but at the same time, when we were justifying it, we were like, well, Rhea versus Bianca is a Mania match. And that's the reason that makes sense. The only reason it makes sense. And I'm just, I'm not particularly up for it.
I was actually, it's funny because on my drive home the night of Elimination Chamber, there was this point that I almost called you guys and was like, I'm switching my pick to Bianca. And I was like, no, I should stick with it. I stuck with Alexa. I still think it probably should have been Alexa, mainly because, as we said, the build is her return.
Yeah, I'm with you, but her
Bianca,
showing in the chamber wasn't. It was good, but it wasn't like I could see her being ready for a Mania levels match. So I understand why they're kind of easing her into it a little bit. She's been out for a while.
she has been out for a while. Bianca, here's the thing: all the reasons that we said that Hound brought up and that we agreed with as to why it would be Bianca were also the reasons why we kind of said it wasn't going to be Bianca, aside from the fact that Bianca and Rhea feels like a WrestleMania main event.
It's a Mania match. Again, like a lot of times when we take the stance, it's because it's like I don't want to see them there. It's not it at all. They just didn't do any work for it.
And that's the thing is, no one else in the match I could have seen. I don't want to see Bayley versus EO again.
Nope.
If this is the route that we're going. I don't.
Liv is the only one outside of Alexa, because Alexa can go a lot of ways with her return. Liv is the only other one that I liked, and that was Liv versus Rhea, not Liv versus. But I can get down with Liv versus EO because they can easily hark back to what they were just feuding.
You know what? If they were going to do it, if they were going for pure shock factor, and they were really going to strap the rocket to her, Roxanne would put on a great match. The problem is there's no build for her to make it a WrestleMania main event. She's still seen as the NXT kid.
I could see it because of that, and she already they gave her enough of the build with the Rumble, and if they could have given her a couple strong wins over people, like have her go over on, I don't know. I feel like everybody on this match is freaking have her go over on Liv on a Raw or something like that. Have her go over on somebody else afterwards, and you can start legitimizing her a little bit. That one I could see, and kind of. I can get to a place where Roxanne Perez going to Mania made sense over some of these other ones, over Bianca, to be honest with you. So that's all. Congratulations to Bianca. I am happy for her. It's going to be a great match. I know I sound more down because it just wasn't a build. I don't know. Like now the EO versus Bianca storyline is just I'm your number one contender. And that's okay, cool.
Which cool. Feels very much like the EO match from last year with her and Bayley.
Her and Bayley was.
I mean, they had storyline, but the problem is WWE themselves weren't building it.
Yeah, but this is completely different. Bayley just got kicked out of Damage Control. That was a huge feud. Mine's the exact opposite. There was so much build that no one seemed inspired by it.
See, I just felt like that match with Bayley though just seemed uninspired. They didn't again, like we always talk about that they weren't the match was good and they had a storyline in place, but weren't there weeks where they weren't even there?
There were certain times that it was more WWE's booking. Every time that they were in the same vicinity, it was great. Io was a great heel. Bayley needed to change her gimmick a little bit. She still had that hero gimmick or whatever it was. Role model, is that what it was?
Role model.
So those are just kind of the areas where that, but that was still a good match. That had a build, that had a real story behind it. This just doesn't. So, that's all I really have to say about this match. You have anything else?
No, I mean, I'm excited to see now where they go from this. I feel like this Mania season, there's so much stuff up in the air right now. Still.
Yeah, it seems very all over the place. I don't know if up in the air is right, but it's very scattered.
I mean, you know who I'm going to blame for it being all over the place?
Let's wait
for the guy who's all over the place, and we'll get there later.
The next match, Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus versus Nia Jackson, Candice LeRae. I don't need to spend much time on this all because this was a nothing match.
This match was exactly what we thought it was going to be. It was to a T what we thought it was going to be.
You throw Charlotte Flair down there somehow, get her involved. Chelsea Green going after Trish to set up a Mania match or something. The only thing that I see this setting up is potentially a Nia versus Candice match. When she hits her with the moonsault, which I'm just not. I'm not interested in it at all. That
None,
doesn't
not
sound
at all
fun.
whatsoever. I'm not interested in that feud whatsoever.
So I don't know. I don't know what the purpose of this match was. So it was good. It was good to see Trish go out there, like have her go in front of Canada. Hey Canada, you enjoyed it.
What's
I know
up?
you did. Um,
What's up? I'm the good side of Canada. I'm not
yeah.
Bryan
So
Adams.
that's all. The Canadian people have apologized for Bryan Adams on multiple occasions. Uh, so I'm just gonna kind of move past that unless there's something you want to talk about
Yeah, no,
specifically.
I mean
Trish is
Tiffany and
great.
Trish went over like we thought they would.
Yeah,
This was just filler. It was filler and using Trish's star power at this point.
I would rather have seen almost anything else, or just something that progressed the story. Like this is Mania season. Chamber kicks off Mania season. Let's get it. All right, does Rumble kick off Mania season? I don't know. This is the heart of Mania season.
I feel like Rumble kicks off Mania season. I look at it from the business standpoint of it. I think that they start planting seeds for Mania at SummerSlam.
Sure, but
this is the heart of Mania season. Like this
is the heart of it. Like let's move
this
things
is
along.
what finally sets in stone what the matches are.
So then the next one here was the unsanctioned match between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which I don't think should count. This pick shouldn't count because it's unsanctioned. It doesn't, right? It doesn't count. That's how it works.
That's not how this works.
I begged you guys to let me to tell me to take Owens. I didn't want to pick Sami, and then it went this way. I wasn't really thinking about Norton return and having Owens versus Orton at Mania. So that's on me, to be honest with you.
I also did not do it. There was a point where I literally texted Hound in the middle of the show and I go, do we get Orton coming back? And he said, no, I don't think so. And then I went, it would make sense. He goes, it would make sense. And then 5 seconds later, Orton's music hits.
Yeah. This match was good. I did enjoy it. It was a little slow to begin. And I really don't need you going out into the crowd.
No.
I've complained about this before. They had some good spots out there, so they actually used it to their advantage, which was nice. But unsanctioned match, why are we walking all over the place? I don't know. It's just one of those things that they do that I'm just not a fan of, because then you're just punching and running away. It's like that. What does that do?
I constantly feel like the fights in the crowd are just off. Like it just screws up timing. It screws up the vision, the visual for the crowd that's there that paid a lot of money to be there. I don't know. Unless it's a Falls Count Anywhere's match, I don't see any point in doing that. And I would almost prefer them going somewhere else in the building other than the crowd.
Yeah, make a spectacle of it. Is there somewhere special in that arena that can get a picture of it, and that's great? There was one. Was there a match with Drew McIntyre? Was it Drew McIntyre versus Jay Uso where they were out front of the stadium or something like that?
Yes, I think so. And
I
always
harken
back
to go to.
There was a Falls Count Anywhere match in WCW back in '92. And I always go back to this. It was Van Hammer, who was not the best worker in the world, but he had a great look. And it was him and Cactus Jack. And wherever they were at, they were in Texas or something, or some place like that, where they did rodeos. And some part of the arena was still set up for rodeo stuff.
Yeah, I'm all
so they took them in the back, and one of them hit the other one with a shovel that broke off, and then they ended up in a trough. They ended up in water and stuff like that. It was such a cool visual that you could have watched on the screen.
Yeah, and that is what those things are for. Not just I'm going to go walk through the crowds where there's tape. There was tape set up. It was already all set up so no one could get in the way, knowing that they were going there. Come on, guys. Come on.
Be better.
I do have to say this match was good though. Don't get me wrong. It was the right level of hyperviolence. I thought it was really weird that Kevin Owens took a drop toe hold to a barbed wired wrapped steel chair and didn't bleed.
And did not bleed.
How is that possible?
Reasons. I got nothing. This is what I'm gonna ask. So obviously Owens, this whole thing sets Owens up with Orton, which
Correct.
the interesting part of this is the second Mania in a row that Orton and Owens are going to be working together. I almost combined their names there. I almost called them Owen.
They were tagged last year?
No, there was that 3-way with them and Logan Paul.
That was last year? Okay.
That was last year. Does this, because I would assume Sami's not going to be out for 8 weeks or something like that. He's going to be back for Mania.
I don't know, man.
Or is he not back for Mania? And does this set up Sami and Cross after Mania? Because I have my own theory on what they're doing with Cross at Mania.
Yeah. Would you like to enlighten us?
I think I think there's going to be a multi-man match for the IC title. And I think Cross is going to be involved in it.
Okay.
I think what they're setting up right now is it's going to obviously be Breakker.
Sheamus.
I think they're going to I think they're finally getting Sheamus out of it. I think they're getting Kaiser out of that mix. I think they're going to separate them at least for Mania and then maybe bring them back in. But I think it's going to be Breakker, Logan Paul, Finn, AJ Styles, and Cross.
No Penta?
I don't think. I think whatever they're doing with Penta right now with Ludwig Kaiser is going to be where they keep going for this. And I could see that.
Does Chad Gable come back with his luchador mask? Because I think that's the only thing that was in that box.
As Toto Americano.
Yeah, he's gonna have the blue blazer mask, or what was Hogan's mask?
Mr. America.
Mr. America's mask.
He's gonna have the Mr. America mask.
I hope it has the handlebar mustache on it too.
So that was one thing that we haven't gotten a chance to talk about is Rey Fenix got released too.
Yeah, I like that could be him that he's talking to, and like that would be cool if they brought Rey Fenix in as a heel, and he's aligned with Chad Gable.
I mean, for the majority of the first half of for the first entire half of their career up until the last couple of years, Rey and Penta were feuding with each other.
Yeah.
So it's not this far-fetched idea.
It'd be great. Put them up against each other on in WWE. Tons of those people haven't seen them work each other.
They can tone it back just enough. They can pull them back just enough where you're not going to see everything in every single match.
Yeah. But so we'll see. All right, well, back to this though. I'm trying to think back to anything that the Fisherman Buster was great. I love that Fisherman Buster that he does. Sami going through, that Owens does. Sami going through. Fair enough. Sami going through the double table. It's a great spot.
I just think this match was exactly what I said it was going to be. It was Owens and Zayn getting a chance to do all of their wacky stuff that they want to do with each other in Canada. The only thing that didn't happen after this is that I thought they were going to run it back at Mania, and I don't think they are.
And that's where my head was at. And now it's obviously Orton Sami. It's gonna be great.
You mean Orton Owens?
Yeah, Orton Owens. Yes,
which is going to be a great match.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. That we've been building to them fighting each other for a long time.
Do we get a punt in the head?
Yes, I think we do.
Yes, I like.
You set it up. That's the only reason you set it up like that.
Is to do it at Mania. If you're going to do it at Mania.
That's the whole storyline. He's going to miss the punt 4 times leading up to it, and then he's going to finally nail it. I don't know if that means he wins.
It should.
Well, I could see a punt to the head on the outside, punt to the head, and he rolls out, and he's just down on the ground for a while, and then fast forward a couple minutes, and a package pile driver comes out. Because I get that Orton needs revenge, but Kevin Owens is hot. Coming out of Mania, he could be in the title picture with anybody.
Again.
And I'm ready for Kevin Owens to be champion again. It's been so long. I could easily see him being the most entertaining champion out there.
I mean, I wouldn't mind Owens coming out of Mania and package pile driving Jey Uso.
Yeah.
And him beating Jey Uso for the title.
That'd be so great.
I could see that. I could absolutely see that. I think that would. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the path they take. All right, let's talk about the first part of this controversial ending for the next match, because I don't think we have anything else for.
No, yeah, I'm good. So the men's chamber: Logan Paul, Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, and John Cena. So this match was solid. It was a solid match. I really like the way that they played off of each other in the chambers of CM Punk telling Rollins to hit Drew harder, and then he's like, keep that energy up, like, to just wear him out. Like, it was great. It was fantastic. It was so funny. While I was watching this, I found myself rooting for different people the entire time. Like, I was all in on McIntyre. Everybody knows that. And then I was in on Rollins, and I was even finding myself being kind of excited about Punk finally winning it, being like, okay, this could be fun.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say it.
What?
I knew you were going to say you were into him. I was going to say, I feel like Punk might have been kind of how we said, like, Liv was the MVP of the women's. You would think Logan Paul was the MVP of the men's just because of the athleticism and the high flying stuff he does. I think Punk, because he just furthered storylines the whole time, was kind of the MVP of this one.
I thought Punk and Priest were kind of sorry, not Punk. Paul and Priest were pretty forgettable in this match.
I agree with that, and I hate saying that because I love Damian Priest. He's my boy, but they just it's. Again, Logan Paul was they kept saying it. He's the one guy in the match that was never a world champion, and Priest is the one guy who, even though he was the world champion, we kind of are almost forgetting that he was the world champion.
Yeah, he is. He's great. We complained to the nth degree about Priest's title run. It didn't do it. They made Priest, the way they ran Priest, his title reign, made that a secondary title. Like, they had done a lot of work to make that a primary title. And right now, even if you look at it, you have Jey Uso and Gunther feuding over that title now, with the Alpha Academy and A-Town Down Under involved. Like, that reads mid-card feud in a big way. And I just don't think they're giving that title any kind of respect right now. Like, this should be very different in the way they're building that feud. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the way Priest was kind of shown holding the title, because he just kind of seemed like a guy who lucked into it.
I agree with that. We said the whole time during Priest's run too, like you said, the whole time we're like, can he just get a clean win?
Just get a clean win.
Just get a clean win, and then everything's good. He had one clean win the whole time, and it was against Braun Strowman. I don't even think that was a title match.
Yeah, it wasn't a title match. I remember saying these exact words on a previous show.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was an MVP in this match, because McIntyre was great, Rollins was great, CM Punk was great. Cena was okay. His 5 moves to doom never does much for me. It was so funny because this was my thought process. They messed up this match by the order. The order of this match should have been start with McIntyre and Rollins like they did. Instead of Priest coming out next, it should have been Punk. Let all 3 of them go at it, and then you can just swap Priest and Punk and have Priest come in last. And Cena was clearly coming in at number 4 or whatever you want to call that. There's 6
Yeah,
people or
whatever
5.
the last spot is.
The second to last spot. He couldn't be the last spot because that's clearly them just giving the old timer the look. But second to last, completely different. And so like I think they didn't get Punk in there early enough. Him coming in last, like you're burying the lead, man. The way McIntyre went out was dumb. Like the crucifix out of nowhere, rolling up, and then what drove me nuts about this match. There's 2 things that drove me nuts about this match. One was I think it was only Logan Paul who had a clean loss. Like you had a quick roll up or the crucifix for McIntyre. The McIntyre destroyed Priest. You had Rollins destroyed Punk. Like all these guys didn't actually lose. They had people who weren't in the match making other people lose by putting in extra shots. Really ruined it a little bit. And then the other thing with Punk. So this guy's finisher proof. Is that what I'm here to see? I don't know if I've seen anyone be hit with more finishers in my entire life than Punk in this match. He took how many stomps? He took how many attitude adjustments? Dude was just getting lit up left and right.
And then passed out to the STF after a stomp.
After a stomp on the steel, like that's different.
But that's what I mean is he still didn't tap to it. He just that just adds to it.
He's finisher proof.
So the only reason why I would disagree with the order that you have it in, not because I don't like your order, I do like your order better than what they did, was Punk needed to be at the end because we've proven that Punk is held together with duct tape.
Oh, maybe. I get what you're saying here, but it's Chamber.
Between like Punk and Cena kind of had to be in at the end because they're old and one of them's fucking broken.
But at the same time, CM Punk only has one steel cage match left in the tank, and that's Hell in the Cell.
Wait,
or Elimination Chamber.
Or this steel cage match coming
up. But he's only got one in the tank. Is it because it's the same key? They use the same chain link around it? Is that the
no?
move?
Because the Elimination Chamber is a different chain link.
Okay.
It's the chain link rather than an actual fence.
Just
maybe
saying.
it's just because. Oh wait, it's not even against the same guy. Never mind. Because he's got Rollins, and the other 2 matches involved McIntyre. So
let me tell you how much I would prefer to see Cody versus Seth, Cody versus Punk, Cody versus McIntyre, than Cody versus Cena. All of those Mania matches would be so much better. And Cena, I needed him to have more adversity before he wins this. He's just big match John again.
I'm gonna throw it out there. Cena wins at Mania.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And
that's so lame.
I'm gonna paint the picture for you a little bit here.
I'm out.
And I don't know if you're gonna like it or you're gonna hate it, but
I already hate it.
You just hate it because Cena's gonna win it.
He's here for a year. He has a year left in his career. We've seen him twice in the first 3 months. And they made this big deal about this farewell tour. And if you're just going to tell me he's going to retire at Mania, fine. Then I'm okay with this.
I actually don't think I don't think that's what's happening at all.
No, me either.
I do like the idea that if you listen to Busted Open, LaGreca keeps saying, how can we even trust anything he says now? Because he's a liar. So I do like that. But that's not the path I'm going with this one. I think Cena wins at Mania. I think either they injure Cody or something along the lines where Cody isn't going right after the title again. They Roman Reigns him, basically. I think we get somewhere Punk too. and I think Punk goes after Cena. Punk wins the title at SummerSlam. Punk, if they can, they'll have him hold the title until Mania, and either one of two things are going to happen at that point. One, McIntyre and Punk are going to reconnect, and we're going to get McIntyre Punk at Mania. And I wouldn't be surprised if Punk loses it at Mania to McIntyre. You give everything that you want, that all those guys want. Punk gets his Mania main event. McIntyre finally gets a Mania win in front of the crowd that he wants, and no one's screwing it up afterwards because he'll have beat Punk.
I'm cool with that. I don't want to wait a year for that. That should be McIntyre versus Cody this year. McIntyre could be The Rock's champion, and I could buy that sellout. I think that Drew McIntyre has done such tremendous work, and they're just chomping him out right now, and I don't like it. Like honestly, if right now, like he would be the person I'm building this company around outside of Cody. Gunther's great too. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but I think McIntyre is.
I think McIntyre's on fire right now.
He's on fire. Like he does he's the best on the mic. He is amazing in ring. I'll give Cody the nod on in ring. Gunther, his style, there's something about it that I still like. That's another one that I've said before that I don't get quite as much. Like, I enjoy his matches, but they're never my favorite match.
I think it's just it's a tough guy match with Gunther.
Sure, and it's great. It's very entertaining. It's just not my favorite.
So I will say this because I've never been the biggest Punk fan. Punk's
you have his hat, you liar.
I do have his hat. I just like his hat. But Punk's promo on Monday was fire. That was really great. Which is all again why his and McIntyre's feud and the build up to that was so good, because they talked everybody into the building at that point.
At that moment in time, for the majority of that lead up, it was McIntyre feuding with himself.
I agree.
That man deserves more than a throwaway match against Damian Priest, because they're going to bring up that Damian Priest stole his title that he didn't seem to be all that upset about for a whole year. That he eliminated him at the Rumble, and then they crucifixed him at the Chamber and stole his moment. This is a wet fart of a feud, and I'm not in for it. I think that they need to figure out how to get McIntyre in the ring with Rollins, Punk, and Reigns. Like, that tag match would be way better than Priest versus McIntyre. Just not into it.
Punk and Reigns versus Drew and Seth?
I would much rather that. That's what I just. Isn't that what I just said? Did I just say that?
Yeah, I think that. I just was trying to figure out the legit. You said those four guys, and I was just trying to figure out the actual logistics of it.
Yeah, give me a tag match with those guys.
Everybody kind of hates everybody except for actually Roman and CM Punk in that one.
Yeah, they're
the only two who actually don't hate each other in that match.
They're both pole guys. Like, you can easily get that to that spot.
Maybe that's the favor. Hey, I need you to call Roman for me this time.
The favor is going to be something bigger than this, I think.
I think it is too. It's always a matter of what this favor is going to be.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. You know the real reason why Cena went heel? It's so that he doesn't have to keep hearing about. Well, so that he can keep hearing about the hole in his haircut.
All right. So Cody's decision. Are we good here on this?
I think we're good.
Just uninspired. Cena, it's too early. I wanted to see him struggle. He's been gone for so long. He wins. Cody comes down. They shake hands. They do the thing. They hug. They look at the sign. Respect the hell out of you, but I'm coming from that title. Exactly what you'd expect there. The Rock comes down. And man, when Cody tells him to F himself, that crowd got hot. Save Cody.
It's a cheap pop.
It turned everything around where I feel like Cody is back in everyone's best graces. Even though when he got booed or against Owens or whatever, he gets booed here and there. But this is they set that up perfectly. And then Cena turning literally out of nowhere. I just don't get it. To be honest with you.
I'll say the best thing about that segment. I mean, I think the shock factor was good. I think them doing shock factor was a big thing on this one. But it's not bad. But the best part of the segment was that The Rock never spoke. At least we got that out of it, because he's been god awful. And I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna agree with other podcasters to say this. I think WWE might have a Rock problem. I think the fact of the matter is every time he drops himself into a situation, they have to pivot their stuff. Every time he drops himself in, you could say it's long-term storytelling all we want. But the fact of the matter is he has no more instincts for the business. He has no more instincts as to, I'd rather him be writing his promos down on his hand, because he like workshops in the middle of his promos. He's just, I don't know what he's doing anymore. He uses all the filler words that you should never use. He said the same word 5 times in a row during that segment with Cody on SmackDown originally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of those things that if we came on the show and we spoke the way that The Rock did on national television, one of us would yell at the other one after the show.
Yeah.
You know, like that's how I was looking at it. Was when we first started this, I distinctly remember both of us being like, "Hey, we need to stop saying and but stuff like that." And his was actually this happened, and then actually, and I'm like, "Stop doing that, dude. Stop."
All 9 words. Being quiet is better.
He's not good right now. And the fact is, he pulls away the curtain during press conferences, which we all want to believe. Let us believe. Stop treating this like it's a Hollywood press conference. It's not.
And also, going back to Cena for a second, he looks weird being angry. It's just, he has like a completely different face. It's like he's a different person.
He is a different person. And John Cena heel is what happens when you combine Ernest with Vince McMahon.
It's funny.
It's dead on. He's got McMahon's hair with Ernest's face.
Tell me about it, Vern.
Know what I mean?
The thing that's been driving me crazy, and I'm curious your opinion here, Steven. Everyone is talking about how this is the greatest heel turn of all times. And man, do I struggle with that. Because I
disagree with that completely. I disagree with it completely. We talked a little bit about this before we came on.
Yep.
I think the 2 greatest heel turns in history are Hogan and Andre.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could make an argument, depending on your age group, though, that it might be Zbyszko.
I think there's no doubt in my mind that Hogan NWO heel turn is by far the greatest heel turn ever.
At the very least, the most important one. Actually, you know what? I think Hogan might be the greatest. I think Andre might be the most important.
Sure, I can give you the most important. It leads to that fantastic match, but that Hogan one, no one really saw it coming. The leg drag, except for Bobby, he's in all of them.
Of course he did. Of course he knew it.
He hated Hogan.
For good reason. Now everyone hates Hogan.
Yeah, he knew. But he knew before.
That's why he's the brain.
What that did for the business, that turn, the level of star that Hogan was at the time. I know he wasn't at the top of his game, but he was still Hogan. He was still yellow and red Hogan. And you think back at how big of a deal that crowd was livid. They couldn't believe the betrayal they felt by Hogan. I think you said it earlier. I don't know if you said it on the show earlier. They were cheering Cena.
They started cheering there, and there was cheers when it was happening, And then at the end of the show, whether you want to say they were applauding the segment because it was so good, or they were cheering, or it was light cheering for Cody getting laid out. The only time they booed was when Travis Scott started nailing Cody.
When he busted his eardrum.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing is, it's one thing for The Rock to lay into Cody. He's The Rock. It's one thing for Cena to lay into Cody. He's Cena. Travis Scott isn't part of this world.
I have no idea why he was there at all.
You know why? Because we're talking about it now. It
Fair.
gives us something to talk about, and he is a fan and all of that.
I'll move on to that then.
I also think that because they talked a lot about how this whole thing might have been the biggest moment of the last 25 years. I don't agree with that either. I don't. I think there's I think this is the most publicized moment. I think professional wrestling, WWE specifically, is more mainstream than it's ever been because of its deal with Ari Emanuel and TKO, and being part of that group and being so linked with ESPN now and Pat McAfee and all of that, that it's so much more mainstream than it used to be, that now it's the most publicized moment that's ever happened. I'll say it's the most publicized moment. I don't think it's the most pivotal moment or the most important moment or the best moment of the last 25 years. I think Eddie winning the title is more important than this, or better than this.
I said Bryan Danielson earlier, the Yes Movement.
I think the Yes moment. I think Kofi Mania. I think if we're going for single moments, though, or like single, like solitary parts of a show, no one wants to hear this because we hate what has happened to his legacy. I'm still a big believer that the end of WrestleMania 20 is one of the greatest moments in wrestling at that point, until all of it got tarnished.
Mm-hmm.
Because those were guys that shouldn't have been in that spot according to what the WWE or WWF method was.
Yeah, and like there's other, like, if you just think back at wrestling history, there's so many crazy moments that have happened. I think about when the Horseman broke Dusty's leg.
Horseman broke Dusty's legs, and I'll say this: they did say this century at least. So in the 2000s. So I'll go with that. All right, we're gonna talk about that. This was bigger than Ric Flair's retirement. You know, his only retirement match.
That one's the only that matters. Like it's the only time it's ever happened.
So as far as I'm concerned, it is. But You're telling me that this was bigger than that? You're telling me this was bigger than "I'm sorry, I love you" super kick?
It just had no build. Like there was nothing, and I don't need to see it coming. But Cena's been gone. He came back for 10 seconds here and there, and now he's super heel.
And that's the thing, is everything that they're saying now is everything in the last year was built for it. Him just staring at the title when Cody won. Him, the Rock doing the 3 symbol at Bad Blood, is because it's, you know, Cena's thing. Him doing, or them doing other stuff.
That's not a build.
It's not, and I agree with you. Those are teases. Those are hints. Those are clues.
But like, Cena needs to fail to have a reason to do this. Cena needs to be around to have this reason. The Rock and Cena feuded for years over this shit, and now they're on the same side. I get how you get there. They just didn't put in the work. You just can't get to the end like that. That kills me. I'm with you. Zbyszko, better heel turn. I think that Hogan, by far better heel turn. Andre, better heel turn. Bigger moments. We'll see what this turns into over the next year, but like, it's not going to have a lasting legacy either. I mean, honestly,
Roman, bigger heel turn.
Yeah, and like it turned into like a legacy type thing. Rollins,
bigger heel turn
on the Shield. I mean, like, and I don't want to give some of those things that big of a credence, because John Cena is such a superstar and such a legend that I think that gives this a bigger edge on something like a Rollins on the Shield. Because at the time, Rollins was still kind of an up-and-comer young guy, and this is Cena, who's never been a heel really his whole career, like since the prototype, and like so in that mindset, I see that should get extra points for just that. But definitely not bigger than Hogan NWO turn.
No,
Come on.
and I think it's, and don't get me wrong, I think it's important. I think them doing it is important, but I don't think it's.
Come
I
on.
think that's the current media and the current wrestling media trying to use recency bias.
They're forcing it, and like
they're forcing it to be that same thing. Again, the same people who are saying this are the same ones that we had the conversation about that said WWE's move to Netflix was as important as the first WrestleMania, if not more important.
Come on.
These are the same people, though.
These are the same people sitting around in their office sniffing their own farts. Get out of here, guys. Get over yourself. There's history that made this stuff bigger now.
Figure it out, man. Figure it out. Figure it out. Sort yourself out. This is...
ridiculous.
I'm glad we're on the same page on this one, because there are times where you and I are not on the same page about things.
But like, it's like...
We're on the same page about important stuff like this.
Just talk about nothing more, in my mind, than Hogan NWO turn. Because that is the most iconic heel turn. And it had substance to it. And he betrayed his friends. He betrayed the company. He turned his back on those fans. And he had been there. Like, I know that he was still kind of a part-timer at that time, but not like Cena part-timer.
Well, and there's always something there for them to. There's some reason for it. Again, I'll go with what we consider the number 2 then, and that's Andre. Andre, there's history there. He'd been undefeated for 15 years, never got the title shot, all that stuff. Heenan gets in his ear. He rips the cross and the shirt off Hogan. And 93,000 people later, okay, fine, it's a fudged up number, but it's probably 80,000 people later. And we have what is considered one of the greatest events of all time.
Yes, that match wasn't great.
No, but that match had the spectacle aspect of it.
100%.
And it was the last little bit that we were going to get out of Andre. That was close to real Andre.
We did best WrestleMania matches of all times, and it wasn't on my list. If we did best WrestleMania moments of all times, it's probably number 1.
I could see that. I would say either that or Rock and Hogan.
No. I mean, without Andre, we might not have WrestleMania today.
I agree with that
match changed everything. It was a game changer. So that's all I put that. But so that's our take on that, folks. Tell us why we're wrong.
Tell us why you guys think that this might be the greatest moment in WrestleMania or in wrestling history, and tell us why this is the greatest heel turn if you think it is, because I'd love to hear it.
Or what did we miss? Like, it's cool. Please don't say it's this one, because I don't know how I'd believe you. But if there's some deep cut or there's something that we just overlooked that you think, how did you not say this? Oh, I'm in for it. Send it my way. Give me something that can even be comparable to the NWO heel turn from Hogan, Andre, Zbyszko.
You know what one I'm going to say that's even better than this? And it's funny because it was a constant flip-flop. And I'm going to talk about Lawler and Hennig every time they flip-flopped. I think that was even bigger because that was bigger for the territory.
Yeah, it was all in AWA, and I love that feud. But it's just too early to say on that one. This one, Cena is such a iconic face. I heard somewhere said the other day, which cracked me up, is that sometimes kids get cancer just to meet John Cena. That's how big he is. And sorry, folks, I didn't make the joke, but I had to say it here. Don't take that stuff lightly. But that's what he meant for so long as a face and transcending wrestling So that has to be taken into account here. But at the same time, it had no build to it, and this Elimination Chamber had no build to it, and I think it hurt a lot of it throughout, and that's why when we said there's a lot going on, this one is one of those things where I don't know, I just don't know, like I feel like they just changed the script everywhere because they're like, all right, let's change stuff, and I don't think it was necessarily in the right direction. But tell us why we're wrong. Tell us where we're at. Feel free to say this heel turn was better, this moment in wrestling history was better in the comments. We'd love to hear from you guys. This is our review of Elimination Chamber 2025. And Steven?
As always, guys, remember, tuck your chin when you bump.